Okay. Well now, good evening everyone, and welcome to the May 7th edition of the monthly meeting. This is the Royal Astronomical Society, the Ottawa Centre. If you think you're at some other meeting, it's probably time to leave. Otherwise, we'll pick up and we're going to talk about stars, the sky, and other things like that. So, welcome to the meeting. Are there any first-time people tonight? Anyone? No, we've got a few out there. Was that Attila? Yes, that was Attila. And Rolf, good. Well, welcome. You don't have to be members to be here. We're happy to have everyone here. Okay, so busy month for observers. We have quite a few observations tonight. So you'll find a little different from our usual run. We don't have a lot of talks. We've got a product demonstration we're looking forward to. We've got most of our regular segments as far as news and what's going on in the sky. We have a lot of swag tonight. I'm looking down here, and I think by last count, we have 17 door prizes, which is kind of a record. Actually, I was urged to snaffle some and hide them for next month after the dry spell last month, but that was too late. Everybody saw them. So we're going to get rid of them all later this evening. There's going to be some pretty happy people, I think, taking some of this stuff home. I do have one item that is not a door prize. It's looking for a home. This lovely white box here is apparently fitted to one of those like the Orion or one of the other brands of AED scope. The owner has sent the scope on to a new owner, and the box remains. So if anybody here happens to have an AED that they're looking for a nice carrying case for, it's very nicely made, it's up for grabs. Is there anybody who would have a use for this? Gary here. Okay, it's yours then. You were the first one with your hand up. So this is not a door prize. Don't snaffle Gary's box when you come up here.
Let's move it off to the side.
Okay, that sounds fine to me.
There's a lid somewhere.
It's right beside it.
No wonder
right beside it.
No wonder I couldn't see it
What a-
right in front of me.
What a beautiful piece of craftsmanship that is. It's very, very nice. Yeah. Alrighty, so it's over there for you, Gary. You can pick it up whenever you like. Good. I would have got it myself, but I paid for the Orion box, which I don't think is as nice. Anyway, I guess having said all that, we might as well get started with one of our regular segments. Tim's here to talk to us about Ottawa skies.
They're cloudy.
Thank you, Tim.
If I didn't say that, you wouldn't think it was me. Anyway. That's the other forward. There we go. Seasonal constellations for this month. The usual. Anybody got that silly hand?
Oh, the pointer thing?
No, the pointer thing, the microphone.
Oh, the microphone, yes. One of a couple. It should work. There.
Hi.
Give it a moment.
When I'm calling you. Okay, right. Hi, and welcome to the fabulous audit. Never mind, shut up, Dan. Now, figured I'd say it before you guys did. Okay, seasonal constellations for the months. As you probably gathered, we're still continuing in what some people like to call the Leo hour. Mars and Saturn are still sitting beautifully located. Saturn is still knock your eyes out gorgeous, and with the rings so nice and flat, it's a great opportunity for catching some moons. Mercury, from our part of the world, is virtually not visible this month. I suppose you might be able to catch it for a brief moment, but for any normal mortal, forget about it. For Venus, if you can't see it, find another hobby. Well, I mean, yeah, that is mean. Anyway. Mars, yes, do not confuse it with Betelgeuse. Actually, I've had too many classes with kids today. Is that Mars? No, that's Betelgeuse. It's red. Yeah, it's Betelgeuse. Are you sure it's not Mars? Yes. No. Jupiter, oh, well, it's not terribly visible yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Saturn, of course, what can you say? And Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, well, who gives a damn about those anyway, because they're just little dots in the telescope, so really I don't care, but I just put it up anyhow. And Pluto's not even a planet, so I mean, who cares? It's a Plutoid. Doesn't that really strike you as the most utterly ridiculous thing you ever heard? Anyway, There's not a lot of Kodak moments up this month, but we have a near approach of the moon and Antares, which is always, Antares, right? Moon and Antares, which is always kind of pretty. So is this going to be a wonderful moment? Heck no, but it will be fun. Here's Mars really trucking along in the sky. You can sort of see the path it's taking all the way along. Here's from mid-April to early June. So this thing is just really, really taking a hike along the sky. Still around, still visible, but it's getting lower and lower in the sky. So if you want your chance to observe it for this apparition, probably now's your last gasp at it. And here we are positioned in mid-May. So it's really nicely positioned to find it at a nice height in the sky, even if it is kind of tiny. Here we go, Saturn in mid-May, and this month we've, just by sheer fluke, I printed this in mid-May, we've got a beautiful moon alignment, but with the rings on edge, it's a marvelous opportunity for moons and moon shadows, so keep your eyes peeled. There we go, there's the identification, so now you can impress your neighbors. Hi, that's Tethys up there, yeah. Not that anyone will really care. My backyard deep sky, globular cluster M3, which is theoretically visible in binoculars. I think I've seen it in binoculars, either that or I needed to clean the lens, I'm not sure which. I have seen it in small scopes and all that sort of stuff. M3 is lots of fun. How do you find it? It's really pretty easy because it's almost exactly, nothing's ever precise in this stuff. Between Cor Corelli and Charles Hart. I never quite figured out how Corelli became Charles, but at any rate, and Arcturus. And here we go. Here's a nice little picture of it. We'll move it out of the way for us. There we go. And I think he allowed me to use it because he put it on Wikipedia. So if he didn't allow me to use it, tough. Now, a splendid carbon star. I don't know if any of you folks are familiar with carbon stars, but they're a lot of fun to observe. These things are blood red. And unlike like a red star like Betelgeuse, where it's kind of orangey, these things are blood red and gorgeous. This one was called by Secchi, the father of spectroscopy, La Superba, and it is. It's an incredible, brilliant gem in the sky. Not terribly hard to find, right next door to M3, which is what made me think of it. So it's there near the Dipper and halfway out to the hunting dogs. So really quite nice. Are you going to get any big thrills and chills? Heck no, you're going to get a red dot. But it's an incredible blood red, so do enjoy. And there is my little finder, halfway between Negrez and Cor Corelli. And if anybody has a better pronunciation, I will be happy to hear it, even though I will probably forget it before the evening's out. And there we go. You can really see the color in this. This is done by a guy, processed by a guy named Noel Carboni, well, he sells a very nice package for Photoshop, for processing, and it's cheap. It's $15, and I like it. So there you go. And here is the unlight polluted sky. So there you go. Yes. All right. Well, I'll go away now. So this should cause applause. I'm leaving. Thank you.
Next up to speak to us about this month's astronomy news.
Sylvie.
Brain not working. Sylvie Letourneau.
So lots has happened in April. My first pick tonight for you is something about the Planck Microwave Telescope. And this is interesting because star formation happens in a blanket of gas and dust, which scatters and absorbs visible light. But we can observe star formation at longer wavelength with telescopes such as the European Space Agency Planck Space Microwave Telescope. So astronomers hope to understand the complex physics of star formation with its results. I would like to show you tonight two of their latest images from Planck. It's two star-forming regions in our galaxy. The first one is Orion. And this picture is a combination of all wavelength. And it's a 13 by 13 degree field of view. And it shows a large number of forming stars. Now, to the left, we have, before I go to the left, I just want to point out, if I can, woohoo! So the lower spot would be the Orion Nebula. This telescope is in the way. Here you go. Then the upper one here is the Orsted Nebula. The red loop that you can see in the red and in the multicolor one over here is called the Barnard's Loop, and it's only visible at the longer wavelength. You can see it only at the top in the 1 centimeter one. It disappears in the millimeter regions. So it is emitted by hot electrons and not by interstellar dust. It is believed to be the blast from a star that blew up about 2 million years ago. Barnard's Loop is about 300 light years across. Now, while we're looking at this picture, I'd like to point out that around the 1 centimeter wavelength, which is the red one at the top left, a Planck telescope can see the distribution of cyclotrons emission due to the high-speed electrons interacting with the galactic magnetic fields and spinning dust particles that are emitting at these frequencies. At the 1 millimeter or less, which is the two lower ones, the green and the blue, now it can see the interstellar dust, including the coldest compact regions of the final stage of collapse towards star formation. The star then disperses the surrounding clouds, and the delicate balance between cloud collapse and cloud disruption regulates the number of stars made. The interplay between those two are hoped to be better understood with the Planck telescope. Now, the next picture is in Perseus. It shows fewer star forming, so it is more of a distilled interstellar medium. Because Planck can image these wavelengths separately, here we see 3, but there's actually 9 total. So it can simultaneously measure all these independent processes. So Planck scope will be completing an all-sky survey by mid-2010, so this year. It will continue until the end of 1012, which means at the end it will have done 5 sky scans. And they're hoping to have the first processed data by the end of 2012. Now, it was on the night of April 13th, 1970, that the oxygen tank in Apollo 13 command module exploded, and then came the famous words, "Houston, we've had a problem." Now, if you're interested in this, Universe Today has on their website the 13 things that saved Apollo 13. My favorite on there is the episode about the duct tape. But between you and me, didn't they know that 13 was not a lucky number?
It comes up to 12, huh?
So next, the Themis asteroid family, which is a collection of 535 asteroids found in the outer portion of the asteroid belt. Well, 24 Themis was discovered in April 1853 by an astronomer, an Italian astronomer, and it is about 200 kilometers wide. Now, so far, astronomers have believed comets to be dirty snowballs and the asteroids to be rock and dust. Well, after 6 years of observing asteroid 24 Themis by astronomers Rifkin and Emery, they have discovered some water ice and carbon-based organic compounds on the surface of Themis. They have been using the NASA IR telescope facility in Hawaii. They found that the IR signature, the infrared signature of the water and the water ice and the carbon-based organic material from the infrared sunlight reflected by the asteroid. So asteroids, along with comets, could be have provided the water for primordial Earth. The surprise came from the fact that it was believed that the asteroid belt was too close to the sun to have any ice. It would have melted, but it's not the case. So the ice that they found on the surface of Themis has about a lifetime ranging from thousands to 1 million years, depending on the latitude. So it's not long enough. Therefore, there's another process to replenish the ice on the surface. And scientists have terrorized, yes, made the theory that outgassing was responsible for this, so there would be ice buried in the asteroid that escapes in the form of vapor and migrates through the crack slowly to the surface or quickly if the asteroid has been hit by a space debris, therefore replenishing the ice on the surface. But since Themis is part of a family that came from a larger body, now they think that that body had ice as well, which means other asteroids would have ice, and that asteroids are not as dried as they previously thought. This changed the way we think of the solar system formation and the nature of the asteroids themselves. Some have already thought of the asteroid belt being a pit stop for water for future interplanetary exploration. Powerful new rockets, emergency return spacecraft for the ISS, life support, protection suit for space travelers, human mission beyond Mars. So President Barack Obama even promised to return everybody safely to Earth. I'll consider it. Now, meanwhile, the space shuttle fleet is scheduled to retire after 3 more missions. But President Obama has talked about an increase of $6 billion for NASA's budget over the next 5 years, adding about 2,500 jobs. I'm not sure, but I wonder if everybody was really listening to him, or about what he was saying, or they were just stunned because he was actually the first U.S. president to visit the Kennedy Space Center in 12 years. That's where he made his announcement. Now, my personal favorite. Sorry. This is the Solar Dynamic Observatory, also known as the SDO. It was launched by NASA in February this year, and it is up for a 5-year mission. Now, we're finally getting its first light images and video. It is predicted that this mission will have a huge impact on science. Images show never-before-seen details of material streaming away from sunspot and extreme close-up of activity on the sun's surface. SDO also made high-resolution measurement of solar flares in a broad range of extreme UV wavelength. With the SDO, they hope to determine how the sun's magnetic field is generated, structured, and converted into violent solar events. Turbulent solar winds, solar flares, coronal mass ejections. Those directed at the Earth cause large magnetic storm on our planet magnetosphere and upper atmosphere. So the SDO will help us provide data to predict these events. Now, the SDO sends 1.5 terabytes of data every day to Earth, so that's about 500,000 of MP3 songs, which gives us images that are 10 times better than your high-definition TV. One of the first here picture is multi-wavelength extreme UV image of the sun. These are false colors. But they represent the different gas temperatures. So here the reds are the cool at about 60,000 kelvins, and the blues and the greens are the warmer at about 1 million degree kelvins. Now next for you, this is one of the first video. It is Sunspot 1060 unleashing a minor B3 class solar flare. The shock wave issued from the blast site raced across the surface of the sun, and I think you can clearly see in the movie that the magnetic loops rocking back and forth when the wave passes over them, and eventually it disappears. Now the next one, the second video happened 4 hours later, 200,000 kilometers away, and this massive prominence erupted. You can play. according to scientists, this is no coincidence, and they hope to eventually fully understand the relationship between the two events since they happen so close in time together.
Do you have the date of that event?
No, but it would have been on the file. I know that the first picture was the 30th of March, so it has to be within April. I think that one was mid-April.
Because I think I saw that prominence April 10th.
Mid-April, yeah, that would.
March 30th.
That's the first picture. Is that the same for the videos?
I'm not sure which of the two that is.
It's not impossible.
I
It's
saw,
what,
I saw prominence that looks like that on April 10th. It could be a different one.
well, they did say that the sun had been fairly inactive recently, and just when SDO went online, the sun was starting to act up.
It's either
I think it
30th
likes the
or
camera.
April 8th. April 8th would be the other date.
April 8, April
March
10. It's, if you go on the SDO website, I think, I don't have it on the video, but it's a NASA SDO. You have the collection of pictures, and each of them will have the dates. Anyway, that is it for me tonight, and more to come next month. Thank you all.
Yeah, it's dated March 30th on that video. Thank you, Sylvie.
No problem.
Some very, very impressive video there. Some of the best resolution I've ever seen, anyway.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a couple of our Rasc Ottawa members in the news. A couple of different articles here. I haven't memorized. There's about a page of text here. So rather than me trying to pretend like I've memorized the whole thing, I'm just gonna talk to the slide. Okay. The first one, Astronomical Society of the Pacific, has recognized the 2010 ASP Annual Award winner, Alan Rahill. A lot of you will probably know Alan, or at least through the Clear Sky Clock, who he and Attila Danko have put together. They're recognized this year for, well, again, you can read it all. I'm not going to read it all to you. But the bottom part, universal acclaim received by the Clear Sky charts in both the amateur and professional astronomy community, wins the team the Amateur Achievement Prize for 2010. So join me in congratulating yourself. That's quite the achievement, and not the first award for that particular effort. Next up, in Sky News, so not just one area, but another, an article by Glenn Ledrew this time around. So take a look in your latest issue if you've got it already or when it comes around. And a very good article, very interesting reading. Congratulations to Glenn on that achievement. As well, in the gallery, you'll note on the lower left, one of Sanjeev's images has made it, and on the right, Rolf Meyer has got some of his images of Mars in as well. So some top-notch work being done by several of the observers in the group as well. So again, congratulations to both of them. Makes one proud to be a member of the center, doesn't it? All right, next up, Kent Goranson is here from Focus Scientific to talk to us about a new Meade product, a new LS series telescope. So without further ado, welcome Kent.
And Kristen.
When I was young, I always wanted to live in the kind of future where gadgets like a pocket computer could do really useful things, like finding the nearest McDonald's. Thank you, Google. Computer-aided telescopes for the amateur astronomer began in 1987 with the introduction of the Celestron CompuStar. This telescope could be operated by any competent physicist or engineer with only a few days of preparation. Competition between Meade and Celestron generated new go-to models that had numerous improvements. The Meade LX200 telescopes from the 1990s were well made and easier to operate. Lighter and more affordable models from Celestron came next. These aptly named NextStar telescopes received a boost from the Ottawa area with the addition of new firmware written by local amateur astronomers Andre Paquette, Mike Ziedler, and Ray St. Denis. This new operating system is called SkyAlign. SkyAlign's key feature is that it only requires alignment with 3 bright stars. The names of the stars are not required because the computer works that out. That's my kind of computerized telescope. Happy computer customers have reported, "I didn't have to read the manual." Now this light switch telescope is a step further. We'll let the telescope explain. Tristan takes care of this part.
Since the dawn of time, people have looked up and wondered at the stars. Modern telescopes like your ETX have revealed that the sky is much more than a ceiling of random twinkling lights. It is a treasure chest of stars, planets, clusters, nebulas, and galaxies. Whether you are interested in exploring the rings of Saturn and the craters of the moon, or splitting binary stars and imaging distant galaxies, you no longer need a degree in astrophysics to learn what is out there. The key to the universe is in your hands, the ETX LS telescope. To repeat this introduction, press the back key. To skip...
Hello, everybody. Introducing the ETX LS series telescope. It is the most advanced amateur mass-produced telescope available today. It is built for the beginner and advanced astronomer. It's fun and very easy to use. Its build quality is quite excellent with its cast aluminum frame. It's nearly 5-inch diameter metal worm gear on both axes. Smooth, accurate slewing and tracking. It's sturdy steel tripod that's both lightweight and easy to assemble. Its optical quality is quite excellent. Out of the box, the collimation was perfect. It exhibits a good diffraction pattern, which indicates high optical quality. It has cutting-edge features not found on competing models. It has advanced coma-free optics, which give a pinpoint star image across the full field of view. It has an advanced AutoStar 3 computer with over 100,000 objects in the built-in database. Integrated Eclipse wide-field CCD finder imager, which can take pictures straight out of the box with a $20 mini SD chip and a couple of C-cell batteries. It has an integrated sensor module, GPS, a level sensor, and a north sensor. It's the first amateur telescope with true automatic self-alignment. Okay, it has multimedia presentations starring Sandy Woods from Stardate Astronomy radio program and from George Woods, who's a Hollywood actor and voice on many productions. You feel like you're in a live planetarium when you're working with this telescope. It also has an inexpensive 3.5-inch LCD screen available for it. You can do CCD preview on that screen. It has modern menus and multimedia videos, as well as a pretty good built-in speaker. So I'll just describe kind of how it works. From the moment you turn on the telescope, it fetches the GPS positioning coordinates, home position, it levels the optical tube assembly, it finds north, and calculates the tripod tilt. It then aims to one of 2 alignment stars. It processes a 3-second exposure. It checks to see if the star is at the calibrated alignment position, and if it isn't, it'll make a small correction to put it there, and it'll repeat that for 2 stars, and then it's done. Setup time is about 5 minutes from start to finish. So right now I'd like to put one of the multimedia presentations up on the screen.
The planet Saturn. Analysis.
Location.
6th planet from the Sun.
Mass.
95 times larger than Earth.
Classification.
A gas giant.
Moons.
60 and counting.
Nickname.
The Lord of the Rings. Second in size only to Jupiter, Saturn is the farthest planet from the Earth it can be seen by the naked eye. Its distinctive rings were first sighted by the astronomer Galileo in 1610. Today we know the rings, comprised of a mixture of dust and ice, are held in place by tiny shepherd moons, which orbit nearby. While not all of Saturn's satellites are quite so puny, the megamoon Titan, for example, is larger than the planet Mercury. When traveling to Saturn, be sure to pack a windbreaker. The forecast calls for howling gusts of up to 1,100 miles per hour. Each day on Saturn moves fast too, lasting just 10.5 Earth hours. Yet one Saturnian year lasts over 29 years here on Earth.
Saturn is the 6th planet from the Sun. Ask anyone what the most striking object in a telescope is, and they'll all agree that it's Saturn. Saturn is the second of the gas giants in our solar system, and only Jupiter is larger. Saturn turns very quickly on its axis, with a day lasting only about 10.5 hours. The rings of Saturn are perhaps 1 mile thick. No one knows for sure, but it's thought that the rings are made up of dust, snowflakes, ice, and water. Saturn is not the only planet with rings. Jupiter, Neptune, and Uranus were all discovered to have rings during the Voyager spacecraft flybys in the late 70s and 80s. During the recent Cassini spacecraft mission to Saturn, Saturn's largest moon, Titan, was examined extensively. Titan is the only moon of a planet in our solar system that has an atmosphere, and liquids may flow or have flowed on its surface in the past. NASA recently announced that they have discovered a hydrocarbon lake at Titan's south pole.
In case you all were wondering, that was actually the telescope playing all that audio and video. It was not a PowerPoint presentation. It's all built into the memory of the telescope. So this concludes the introduction of the ETX LS Series telescope. The complete specs are available on our website, or come visit our news store at 911 Carling Avenue. We would love to see you all there. Kent and I would like to thank you for your past and future patronage and support. And during the intermission, we'll be located in the hallway to answer any of your questions and to show off the telescope some more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kent, and thank you, Tristan. Very, very interesting and impressive product. Okay, next up is our illustrious Tim Cole with a commercial message from our sponsor.
Hi, have you tried Slapshot? Never mind.
Tell us all about it.
Tell us all about it, yes. For the low price of $19.95, you can get rid of me. Now, someone quick, where's the money?
Here's the money, keep the change.
Oh, sure, no problem. Hey. Oh, he's going to do the carrot and dangling in front of the mule trick now. Okay, this is my moment to do a little plug for our sponsor. The museum's got its usual run of stuff coming, and the next one coming up Chris, the envelope, please. A kids session for solar models and telescopes. And fair warning for all of you, I will also be in that night because May 14th there's also a public stargazing evening, which has the marvelous entrance price of nothing, which is always good. For those stargazing ones, by the way, we're here anyway. If it's been announced for the stargazing stuff, we're here even if the weather's not good. The only time there won't be somebody on duty is if the weather is bad enough to close the roads or something. So even if it's cloudy, there'll be somebody here just in case you pop by. These ones are the programs aimed for families, and it's a bit of a craft and a bit of background. And that one happens to be a Brian McCullough evening. So for the kids, for coming for that's a real treat because he's absolutely insane and the kids love it. So anyway, there you go. It's done. I shall shut up now. Bye.
Thank you, Dave. Very good. So this is a quick insert, and of course I have no idea what's on the slide. Gary Susick has come up with a wondrous idea. There is a sort of group buy deal available from the vendors of Sky Tools. If club members get together and buy as a group, they get really good discounts on this. We've just slapped this up very quickly. Gary's idea is that we'll have Chris, I think, get in touch with the publishers here to make the arrangements. We'd like people to indicate their interest if they want to get in on the deal. Apparently, we get quite significant discounts if we get up around 10 people, for example. I don't know if there's going to be 10 people in the center want to get it. I'm kind of thinking I wouldn't mind getting in on the deal myself. But anyway, I believe Gary will be collecting names over the next while, probably the next couple of meetings. So if you want to get in on the deal, let Gary know that you're interested. We'll compile the list and go from there. Yes, Rob?
I was just going to say, could someone give us a 2-minute overview of what Sky Tools is?
Yeah, I can if you want. I'm a long-time user.
I'd like to hear that.
I'm a long-time
Everybody
user.
else would.
It's a planning program. That's the whole function for it, is to plan your evening. One of the things that it'll do for you is give you, you can produce your lists of what you're interested in looking at, and it comes with a stack of lists as well. But for example, you can decide what the best night is to observe, I don't know, M194 or whatever, and work it out that way. Do your planning and best time to see it, best place to see it. It's also got a pretty good planetarium system buried in there as well. The Pro Edition has, I think it's like 1 million stars, and that one does telescope control as well. So I like it. It's the only thing is, a fair warning, it's the user interface is a little weird, and there's a learning curve on it. But I've always found the learning curve is well worth the trouble. It really is. It's a great little package. If you've seen Sky, I think it's Sky Planner. That's an all text thing, and this is quite graphic and quite
Also,
good.
the Pro Edition will go to 20th magnitude.
Yes, yeah.
Which is
Paul Bolt
no other one will go that deep.
Yeah.
And on cloudy nights, if anybody goes on to that, there was a question about what planetarium program or what deep sky observing program do you say is the best. This one was by far the most, the comments were most popular on this particular one.
And the guy who does this one is also incredibly good for support too, which is really quite nice.
For like a simple deep sky object, say M101, it would print out automatically. You get 3 charts. You get a Telrad chart, like a wide angle finder. You get about a 10-degree finder chart, and then you can determine the close-up one, what field of view you want.
What field of view you want. So
And it will print them all out.
Yeah.
You press one button and it all comes out. You don't have to print, patch, paste, and put it all together. It does it automatically.
Yeah, it's a nice package. It really is.
Cool.
And I don't get anything for it. I did beta testing a couple of versions ago on it, but one version ago on it. So I mean, you could argue I have a vested interest. I don't get paid for it.
I think looking at it, the best deal, if we can get at least 10, you get the Pro Edition at 107. The regular price for the standard is 99. So you basically get the super duper deluxe.
Yeah, the Pro also has a pretty good imaging calculator buried into it as well. So it's how long should you image and when's the best time of night to image, and there's also some light pollution models in the Pro version as well. So it's a nice little package. There's no doubt it's a little pricey, but I personally think it's worth it, and I'm a cheapskate. On the other hand, I like toys. So
There's a Windows
Thanks, guys.
7 compatible?
What was that?
Windows 7?
Yeah, Windows 7, yes.
Only?
No, Windows 7, I run under Vista and XP.
Yeah.
It's been around for quite a while. I'm interested myself. I've got a friend that I observe with from time to time who's been using it for quite a few years. He uses it on a variety of different platforms. Seems to me he had it running on 98 and he's on XP right now. So it seems like it's pretty versatile what it'll run under. Anyway, that's the idea. What I would suggest for anyone who is maybe thinking this might be of interest to them is maybe do your own research. You've got a couple of months here maybe before we do the buy, I think, just so that we can get enough people involved in this. So I would suggest just run off on the web and go look it up, look at some of the evaluations, that sort of thing, and you can probably make your own decision based on that.
Sky and Tel did a review on it
Yes.
2 months ago or 3, I can't remember now.
Did they? Okay, so there's another place you could maybe look as a review in Sky and Tel. Okay?
Thank you.
Good. So, going on from there, next we're into the observation reports. So we've got a pretty meaty section of them tonight. We've got quite a few observations from all over and all types. There's some very nice stuff. I guess we'll start off. Roman Zioba has sent us up a couple of snaps from down under. He's, you might remember he's studying in Australia right now, and he sends us a few snapshots from time to time. He's just using a handheld camera, of course, so you only get so much out of it. But anyway, first one is Moon and Jupiter. Okay, nice little conjunction there. The next one, just a sunrise. Nice shot, for a handheld camera. It's very pleasant looking. Okay, next after that we have Tom Butterworth. Tom, do you want to come down and talk about that?
Thank you. Last year I upgraded my telescope to a new Celestron CGE Pro 1100 HD. The mount, I used my 5-inch refractor. I adapted it to sit on the mount. This is my first shot of the year. This is 6 10-minute exposures with 30 minutes of dark subtracted, 3 times 10. Can we go to the next one? I didn't bother trying to center. I was just more concerned about getting the telescope set up in my observatory, so I didn't fuss around with centering M82. This is 3 10-minute exposures. Orion was setting into the west, sort of going into light pollution near Ottawa here. So I managed to get 3 10-minute exposures and 1 10 minutes of dark that I subtracted, and I'm quite happy with the image. The center is a bit burned out, so I have to get Photoshop and layer in shorter exposures. So those 2 first images were done with the 5-inch refractor. This is my first shot of M64 with the new 11-inch. This is 90 minutes of exposure with 30 minutes of dark subtracted. And this is my first attempt at M13 this year. The focus isn't quite as tight as I'd like it to be, but it does give you an indication of the number of stars. I'm working on improving focus and getting tighter tracking. Okay.
Could we turn down the lights?
Yes, I think we probably could. Can you reach behind me? There we go. Better? Good. Okay. Let me see now. Next up, Wayne Ross has got some images for us. Oh. Might as well take. Sure. Yep.
I'm sure I'm going to do the stage.
That's better.
I don't know if anybody can see me behind the podium. I'm pretty short. This is actually one of the first pictures I've ever taken. I've been doing optical astronomy. I have a good 10 or 12-inch Dob, and this is with my ED80 and my little Rebel XS DSLR, and it's 45 images, 2 minutes each, for about 90 minutes of exposures and a whole lot of processing to get it out. But when I was taking this, just an interesting little story. When Johann Bode discovered this, it was 1774, and I was looking at this thinking, this is the time of the Continental Congress. It was happening in Philadelphia. We had the Quebec Act was being passed by the British Parliament, setting the stage for what was going to happen here in Canada. And oxygen was discovered for the third and final time. So anyway, it's 12 million light years away, and I thought it made a really nice little picture.
Thank you, Wayne. Next up, a couple of images from Paul Commission.
This is NGC 3628. It's in Leo. You remember last year when Attila had this contest on 5866, which is in Draco. Now, that had a dust lane, very narrow dust lane. This, as you can see, is quite a prominent dust lane, very well seen. And I thought I'd show this tonight because this just shows you that you can have extremely large dust lanes when you look on edge-on galaxies like this. This happens to be in Leo, and it's a 10-minute exposure with 2x2 binning, and I took that on April the 14th this year. So this is a recent photograph that I took. I use Santa Barbara 10XE, and the scope is a 14-inch Meade. So next one, please. This is 3726 in Ursa Major. It's a 10-minute exposure too. This is a face-on as opposed to the edge-on. This is a face-on galaxy. It's a barred spiral. You notice there's a bar in the middle, and the arms are quite close. It's an SBA, I think, is the notation on it. You can get this quite easily. This is not a dim. This is a fairly bright object. Next one, please. Now this is M109, also in Ursa Major. It's NGC 3992, 10-minute exposure. You notice how in this one, this is also a barred spiral, but you notice how here the arms are more spread out. It's an SB. That is it's an SB plus the bar type of thing. This also is quite bright an object. You can easily get this with a small telescope. It's in good observing right now this time of the year. Next one, please. This is the antennae. These are interacting galaxies, and as you can see, this is in Corvus, quite a ways down. It's just below, Corvus is roughly below Virgo there. And these two particular ones are interacting. This was a 12-minute exposure that I did 2x2 binning. And there's a little bit of, I'm going through trees here, and unfortunately, on my street, I have this, the southern exposure is not too great. So this shows a little bit of sort of floss in it, but the objects have very large antenna-like streaks on either side. I couldn't get that. If I did, the left side of the picture would have been all white. So I cut off at 12 minutes. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Paul. Next up, we have Ron St. Martin with some of his observations.
Hi. Can everybody hear me okay? No? Smart ass. About a year and a half ago, whenever I was out at the observatory, I'd go into the shack to warm up for a little bit, and I realized that the scope was outside running by itself for about 10-15 minutes. So I thought, well, I'd borrow a camera from somebody and throw it on there, and maybe I might be able to get some pictures. And don't worry, this camera wasn't stolen from the museum. It's just an old 35mm film, I repeat, film camera. Film. What's that? Film. I jumped back a little bit. This is just the way I hooked it up to the telescope. I took a piece of aluminum here, drilled a hole in it, bolted it there, put a nice fancy C-clamp to sturdy it up, and I MacGyvered a little piece of a bottom of a drill press so I can pivot the camera up and down. Nice. And since I don't drink beer anymore, I've got my little Molson Canadian beer cooler, keeping my lens from fogging up. It actually serves a second purpose in life. So these are just a bunch of pictures I've been taking. This is one of the first ones I took. Of course, this is a very common thing with long exposures. You get planes going through it, but this is just the Milky Way around the Sagittarius area. I always like this little area. It looks like a couple of people waltzing. Looks very nice. Next one, please. This one is M37, 36, and 38. Now these are all just straight, developed right at the developer and scanned and put up. So there's no finishing. You can see my little bit of glow. That was a glow at the beginning I was getting from the telescope, so now I shroud it with a black sheet. Next one, please. This is M44, the Beehive cluster, and Mars.
Nice.
Turned out rather well.
Nice res.
And this is, I think, a 200 millimeter, about 4-minute exposure. Yeah, the thing with film, with the wide angle, you end up standing around a lot. So now I bring a radio and I dance during the... keeps me warm and keeps me, I need it anyway, so. Next one, please. California Nebula.
What film are you using?
400 speed film.
What kind?
Blacks. So I get their prepaid things. I could order faster film, but then you have to order it and you have to order a whole block, and I don't know how long I'm going to do this, so. But that one turned out quite well. Next one, please. This was just the other day, M8, M21.
The other day, you must have been up.
Yeah, I was out last night and I got home at 6 o'clock this morning, so if I fall down, just give me a few seconds. So this is an open cluster M21 and M20, the Trifid Nebula, and M8, the Lagoon Nebula. This is quite nice, a little low in the sky. A lot of nice little Milky Way here and there. And the next one, please. Andromeda. So you had Andromeda, and then you had M32 and M110. And this was with a 210 millimeter, and it was about a 4-minute exposure. By the way, this lens that I got on eBay for $4.25.
Nice.
And it turned out to be one of the best lenses I've had.
What F ratio are you using?
5.6. I think it was 4 minutes, this one. Yeah, I've got about maybe 65 pictures of Andromeda. It's trial and error. When I first started this, I knew nothing about photography at all, and with help from Tom Ray and Doug Loma and guys like that, thanks guys, I managed to get some half-decent pictures. Next one, please. Oh, this was something cool. You can get these star filters, and you can pick them up on eBay from these guys in China for like $2 or $3. So this is just the Belt and Orion. Another thing that you look for in pictures too is shooting stars. You get a lot of meteors sometime going through, and you capture them. And the next one, please. This is not a meteor though. This is another cheap-ass lens that I bought on eBay. It was a 300 millimeter lens, and it focused outwards. So as soon as I brought it up, this is M13. And I started the exposure, and in the 5-minute exposure, the lens with gravity slowly fell down. So it went from 300 to 100 millimeters. And the guy at the Photoshop says, wow, he says, I've been trying to get one like this for years. He said, I can't get it right.
Yeah, but they're going the wrong way.
I says, well, you got to be professional like me, It was one of my many screw-ups, but it was a pretty cool one. I showed this to Pierre Martin, and he freaked. He's like, whoa, how many pictures is this? I said, 1. He's like, what? Yeah, that one looks actually pretty cool. Yeah, one of Ron's screw-ups. I think
Ron, did you just put the negative to CD at the left? Is that
No, I just scanned it on my, I got the pictures developed, and I just threw it on my scanner and scanned them, I think, at about 200. Yep. These are all from prints. They're not finished or anything. I just scanned them and sent them off to Chris, and he said, yeah, they looked half decent. So I've got about like 200 or 300 of these things. I've been doing it for about a year now. And, you get a lot of rolls of out of exposure, all these fuzzy little meaningless pictures.
Next
but
time, take it the other way.
Yeah.
Pull it out and see if Looks like they're more radiating upwards. Eh?
My son Carl, who's in the audience today, hey buddy, he said this picture reminds him of Star Trek.
Warp speed.
Warp speed. I think that's my last one. Okay, that's my last one. Thank you very much.
Next up, Gary Boyle with some very pretty observations.
Only 3 pictures tonight. Last month I forgot to add this one of Venus on the left and Mercury on the right. And this particular night that I took the image, the clouds were moving very quick, and it was hide and seek. I'd get Venus in one and not Mercury, or Mercury in one and not the other one. So thank goodness for digital photographs, and you can check out a lot. So, and as always, add trees if clouds are in the way, just really adds to the photo. Next shot, please. I stacked about 120 images, 8-second images, because my tracking is not that good on my. I got a lot of periodic error on my Meade 12-inch LX200, but this is the Eskimo Nebula, taken just in white light, no filters at all. So it's about a good 10-minute exposure, all combined, and taken with the Meade DSi at f3.3 on the 12-inch Meade LX200. And next shot. Nothing like Tom Butterworth's black eye for sure, but again, about 10-minute exposure of the black eye M64. Again, I have a very, very bad tracking, so I got to get it fixed to get anywhere close to what these guys can really do. So those are the 3 images for tonight. I just want to congratulate Paul Commission on your photography. I remember years ago when I was standing here as meeting chair, many out here will probably remember Paul with computers. Don't need computers. Now he's binning 2x2. I don't even bin 2x2. So he's way ahead of me. Way ahead of me. People that have not seen my observatory, Orion's Belt Observatory, CGOH, I hope it's clear this Wednesday, the 12th, will be at the house, because I do get on CGOH 2 or 3 times a year, but because the studio burnt down, they don't have a studio to go to, so they'll be coming to my house. So I had nothing to do with it. So this Wednesday, the 12th, let's hope, CTV News at noon. And one last thing, I will not be here next month. No, hold your applause. Because hopefully by this time next month, I'll be a proud grandpa. Yeah. Well, the daughter's expecting around the 12th, 1st of June, so that's it. That's it, folks. I'll see you in 2 months.
Thank you, Gary. Next up, Rolf Meyer with some lovely lunar shots.
Okay, so I put all the writing on the first screen so that they wouldn't spoil the actual pictures. Basically, this is going to be one image taken of the moon, so the entire moon fit into the frame, and just about the largest that I can get into one frame because of the sun. Any bigger and the moon wouldn't fit, basically. So also what I did was I took 3 enlargements from that picture because just seeing the whole thing, you can't see too much detail. So, I don't know what I did there.
Probably the other way.
Okay. No, that's not it either. So how do we get out of this? So which one?
Here, I'll give you the next one.
All right. Which one do I put
The right button.
The right one. Okay. So this is the entire moon, and taken I guess just maybe a week or so ago. And the scene was actually fairly good. So what we're going to see is, so this is kind of going to be a reverse mosaic. About a year ago, Brian McCullough talked about doing a mosaic of the moon, and that's actually what this is all going to be about. It's going to take like at least a year to get all the phases of the moon together, and then the idea would be to, take basically this portion of each one and combine them to get a full picture of the moon where all the craters are shown in relief, which only happens along the terminator. So that's the aim here. But now I'm going to show you a reverse mosaic where we take this single image, and this one is relatively unprocessed, and the 3 areas that we're going to zoom in on are those. So the first one is, let's see, Oops, no, I got the wrong button again. Sorry, sorry, Chris. Okay, so we'll do that, and then this one. Okay, so this is Plato, and remember that's just an enlargement from that same one, Plato, and this is what's called the Alpine Valley, and the crater Cassini. Okay, and nice area down here where it's a nice flat area, and all these mountains sticking up out of the lava flow.
What size of chip did you use, Ron?
Oh, this is a Canon 40D DSLR. So yeah, so there's minimal processing in this. Remember, this is a single frame. So there's no stacking or anything, and no color correction either. This is the raw image, and all I did was I converted it to a JPEG, and the color balance turned out pretty much neutral. The moon was very high in the sky, so there was very little what you call extinction, and the atmosphere making the moon yellow or anything like that. So with RAW, it's the pure color. So and the conversion to JPEG didn't do any color adjustment. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. And this is the crater Copernicus, sort of in the middle of the moon. And this is the crater Cassini, right here, one of the largest craters on the moon. So all taken from the same frame. That's it.
Very nice work, Ralph. Next up, long-lost stranger. Just to give you a bit of background, I've been harassing Bob for the last couple of months. Every month I'll send him an email and I'll say, have you got any images for us? And he'll say, I'm not in Canada. So finally, after requesting for a couple of months, I got the reply back, I'm in Saskatchewan, was it?
Yeah.
That's not in Canada either, I don't think.
Doesn't feel like it.
So anyway, Bob has just been back in town a little while. He's brought a bunch of images back with him. So welcome him here, and here we go.
I actually took all these images before I left, and then we have been visiting relatives in Saskatchewan for the last month, and I actually got in trouble for processing these images when I was supposed to be visiting. This is NGC 2158. It was Paul Commission's March challenge object, and in the write-up he mentions that this is not a globular; it's actually an open cluster, and it was because the stars are young, and there's definitely lots of blue stars in there, which would indicate that they're young. This picture here turned out much better than I expected. You can see the weird aspect ratio, long and skinny. My actual picture is about as big as the screen. And I just cropped this because there was nothing down here at all that we cared about. When I took this picture, I was trying to get the little galaxy collection, which is right up here somewhere. And I just pointed at the wrong part of the sky, which is not unlike me at all. Yeah, 5907, just an interesting galaxy I happened to cross in the sky, and it got some imaging on it. It was a kind of a steady night, and so the image turned out, showed a lot more detail than I expected it. And again, obviously an edge-on galaxy. I was reading in December in my travels, Scientific American, and in it they mentioned that they're trying to take an image of the black hole in our own galaxy. Now, this black hole in our galaxy has 4.5 million, it has a mass of 4.5 million suns, so it's a pretty big black hole. And if you took that in, the angular size of that is 55 micro arc seconds. And that means that if you held a poppy seed up in Los Angeles and looked at it in New York, that's how big it would be. So it's pretty small. If you used an infrared telescope, which you need to do to look through the dust, you'd need a telescope that was 7 miles across. I apologize, 7 kilometers across. I've been in the States too much lately. What if you use a millimeter type radio telescope, it only has to be 5,000 kilometers across. The thing about that is that we already have those. What they do is they take a bunch of telescopes and stick them together. And now I'm not sure I don't think they actually connect them. I think they actually record the signal in each of them and then bring the tape recordings all together and compare them. And they can actually get an effective telescope of 5,000 kilometers across. And this is already in operation. The problem is that they're operating at 3.5 millimeters. That's the wavelength they're using. And that's too big a wavelength. They need to narrow it down a bit. And the two sizes they're interested in is 1.3 millimeters, which would give you a 26 micro arc second image. That would be the resolution that's enough. 55 to 26 is good enough. You get a good image. Or 0.87, which would give you 17 micro arc seconds of resolution, which would allow you to see this black hole in our own galaxy. It's pretty spectacular. There's only one problem. These telescopes in those range can't see through water vapor. And we have water vapor in our air. And we don't have space telescopes, so they have to be on top of mountains. And these telescopes are all used for something else now. They're not connected together in a big network at this frequency. But they managed to put through one in Arizona, California, and Hawaii. They have to be on mountaintops to work. And it works. They've got the technology now, and now they need to add more telescopes. And they're in the process of doing it, and we will soon have an image of the black hole in the center of our galaxy. And so you say to yourself, what the hell's that got to do with this picture? Well, there's a black hole in M87, and it's even though it's 55 million light years away, the black hole is 6.4 billion suns. And so that makes it so gigantic that it's 75% the apparent angular size as the one in our own galaxy. And you don't have to look through our galaxy to see it because it's the northern sky. So it's a fantastic object, and they're going to probably look at that also. Now, I read this and thought, oh, fantastic, I got to see if I got it. I don't have an image. I had to take an image. I have most of them essays, but I didn't have this one. So this is my image. Now, one of the things about this image is there's a relativistic jet right there coming out, which is 5,000 light years long. And I wondered if I could get an image of it. And so I stretched the image like crazy. So let me see if I can get back on this thing. So there's the image, and then I stretched it like crazy, get rid of the glow around the galaxy. And then I zoom in just to show you what it looks like, I hope. And there's the jet, the relativistic jet. Yeah, so it was pretty interesting. By the way, about 7,000 other people have the same image. It's nothing special about it, but it was special for me. Okay.
Done with amateur equipment. Amazing. We'll carry right over here. Bob, having been away, gets extra harassment. He also gets to do the Deep Sky Challenge tonight.
All right. Now, most of the Deep Sky Challenges we do are like impossible. And so I thought I'd choose one that was a little simpler. And in the sky right now are a bunch of globular clusters, M3, M5, M12, and M13. And they're all in great locations in the sky. And so I think we should really try and take a look at them. Here they all are. This is just east at 11 p.m., which most of us could stay up that late. 13 is here, 5 is there, 3 is up here, and 12 is right there. If you want to add 10, you'll have to wait a little later in the night, but it is rising. This is in the east. All right, this is M3 right there. Now, if you take a look at it, this is Arcturus, and the zenith is, you're looking almost straight up. So this sky chart will be, Richard will have this sky chart on the website, I'm sure, by tomorrow morning. Richard, not here? No. Anyway, it'll get on and you'll be able to print it off in there. Or when you buy that Sky Tools thing, you could actually look it up yourself. M5, you're looking southeast at 11 o'clock now, and it's about 25 degrees up. And you can see what's pointing at it here. It's in a fairly easy spot to find. I actually find that I can sometimes see these things in my finder scope. You get close and then you sort of see a little fuzz patch. Really, really small, almost like a star, but not quite in focus. And so then you can find them that way. All right, the next one here. This is 12, which you can see it's pretty close to the horizon at 11, but it's coming up. So if you just wait a bit, it'll be higher in the sky. And again, right underneath it is 10. If you want to add that to your list, go ahead and see that. The Hercules cluster is the first thing I ever saw on a telescope. That was what you call deep sky. And it's really simple. This big flower pot shaped thing is easy to find. And it's right there about 2/3 along one edge. And you can definitely see that in a finder scope. And once you've got it in the finder scope, you center up your scope and you've got it. If you have a go-to scope, just type the numbers in and you'll get right to them. Okay, now the challenge. I'm assuming it comes next? No. If you are a beginner, then just find them. If you have a go-to scope, find them and see if you can tell us what the difference between them all is, because they all do look a little bit different. And if you're a photographer, image them all and put them all on one collage so we can see the differences in the scopes. Now, by the way, I have to make a comment about that guy taking pictures with film. I took pictures with film at one time. I couldn't even focus the camera. Like, how do you tell if your camera's in focus? You'd send it off to the drugstore and wait 2 days for it to come back, and then you find that it was out of focus and you forget where it was. Wow, I am really impressed by those photographs. Anyway, thank you very much.
There we go. Thank you very much. Okay, next up, Mike Mogadam is going to speak to you about our current public outreach programs.
Thanks. Well, hi everyone. There's been quite a few things that have happened in the month of April for outreach, and so I'll talk about that briefly. But our outreach program for the remainder of the year is forming really nicely, so I'm very excited to announce a couple of events that are in place now. So, next slide, please. So there were 3 events that happened in April. The first one was, you may recall, that we were approached by a grade 5-6 class to a science teacher to offer some stargazing. This was right downtown at Elgin, just right off of Elgin Street there. And I checked it out, and I wasn't quite sure, what it would be like. And I remember driving down Elgin Street, and I thought, where is this place? I mean, how can we set up some sort of stargazing? But sure enough, there was this Elgin Street public school, and there was a little schoolyard behind the school, and it looks like an old baseball diamond. The 3 of us set up our telescopes, and Bart Tector brought his C11, and Jeff and myself brought our refractors. Bart got, I think he got M42 on there, right, Bart? And Jeff and myself went for some nice views of Saturn and Mars and so forth, and it worked out pretty well. We were expecting, I think, the teacher was expecting about 22 dozen students. We had, I think, probably about 60, which included, I guess, friends and parents and passerbys as well. So it worked out very well. Thanks again, Jeff and Bart. We had 2 events at the Science and Technology Museum. You may remember me talking about that. The museum came to us and said, we're having a fundraising event, and we really like it if you could set up some telescopes. The skies were really iffy. We weren't quite sure. But we set up our telescopes, and a few optics became visible, and there were certainly some excited people that were quite keen to see what we had to offer. So thanks, Stephen and Michael and Bart. We impressed a few people as well at that event. Next slide, please. Okay, the big event for one of the big events that we have every year is International Astronomy Day. So I got a couple of photos and a couple of slides. This is as many of you know, an annual event that we have. every year. The museum kindly invites us back. And we set up a rather large display, an indoor display, outdoor solar observing, and in the evening time we have stargazing. So next slide. So a fair number of volunteers, as you'll see. We had, of course, the Ron St. Martin with the meteorite display. Impact Crater was Chuck O'Dale. And we had an indoor display with telescopes where people would peek through them at a distant object we had posted on the wall. Thanks, Chris. Next slide, please. You may have seen this. There's Bob Barclay brought this painting. He called it a celebration of Galileo. He painted it himself, this tripartite, if I'm pronouncing it right. I know I'm not. He pronounced it differently. Sorry, somebody said that? What is it?
Triptych.
That's right. Thank you, triptych. It got a lot of questions, and Bob was really enthused by it, so it generated a lot of interest. We have our display that we set up with astrophotos, and by the way, as an offer here, if anyone likes to share some photos for display, please, I'd love to take them and post them. We usually get a lot of people that sort of stick their noses to our display, and I'd like to sort of change it around so that it's different every time. So. Next slide, please. Okay, so solar observing. We had a number of people that first of all, the display was set up as it is every year, just outside. So it was attracted a lot of attention as people were coming in and going out. And one of the observations I had is it's always interesting to see people go from, they're not satisfied with looking through one telescope. They go from one telescope to the next and the next and so forth. And it's nice to see. I mean, the solar observing lends itself well for families. Obviously, I mean, it's the daytime, and it's always nice to see getting a young crew look through the telescopes. By the way, I forgot to mention our indoor exhibit was really well placed as well. It was right inside here as people walked in, so it got a lot of attention, and we're quite pleased with the location. Next slide, please. So the evening star party, we really were not certain about that. As you can see in one of the photos there, the clouds were starting to come in, and we thought, oh, what's this all about? We didn't expect this. So we were very, very uncertain about whether we should do this. And lo and behold, all of a sudden, there was this more and more people were coming in. They were there for the evening stargazing, and you can see in the observatory that it was just packed. And we had some young children come forward, and they kind of looked at me with the puppy dog eyes, and saying, "Well, we're here for this event," and you kind of melt, right? And so all the three of us, I think, or the group of us, sort of said at the same time, "Let's just set up," and we set up very quickly, and fortunately, the sky started to part, and we got some pretty good views of Saturn and some of the more prominent stars as well, Castor Pollux, Arcturus, and so on, Regulus. Next slide. So here is just some of the volunteers. We gathered for a group shot. I really appreciate everyone coming out to this event. I think we all enjoy it year after year. This year was just like last year. It was in the morning. It was a wonderful, warm spring day, clear skies, and maybe it was too warm because I was expecting a larger group of people, but there's still a fair number came out. Next slide. So here is a list of people who were either volunteers or who helped in the preparation of it. So you can see this is a very popular event for our center. And I compare with what other centers do, across the country here, and things worked out pretty well for us in terms of, the skies weren't great in the evening, but they were good enough to have people, have a couple of, wonderful Galileo moments or whatever you liked. And our center was pretty active as well. So good stuff, everyone. Next slide. Okay, so this is the big event. I compared last year, how we did last year, and I thought to myself, there are some things that we could do better. Well, one of the things I think I might have mentioned to you last time is I wanted to get the star parties launched sooner this year. So I'm really happy to say that here's the list of star parties. A group of us came up with these dates here. We tried to pick some dates that were not too moony, And we tried to avoid 3-day weekends where possible. We tried to avoid, lining up with Starfest, and it goes on and on. Okay, so we've come up with a list of it's pretty much for the next 6 months an evening star party, and I'll talk about the location in a moment. It's actually at the Carp Library, and I'm really excited about this. So the first event is next Saturday. Now that one doesn't have a rain date, but you can see some of them do. So folks, I mean, as usual, the go no go will be announced on our website there. So please check it out, and of course I'll be sending out emails for those of you who are part of the all RASC member email list. Okay, but the best place to look at is the Ottawa-RASC.ca. That's the where I'll be announcing if it's a go or if it's not a go. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so where is it located? This is those star parties are all now at the Carp branch of the Ottawa Public Library. So, and in fact, if you look at the bottom of the picture there are three. It looks like 3 legs there. It's we're in the leftmost leg, which is one of the parking lots, and we set up our telescopes there. At the top where that H is, that's where the Diefenbunker is located, and the building just down and to the right there is the Carp Library. This was a pretty good location. We like this location because it's known. Okay, people know to go to we tell them to go to the Diefenbunker. People aren't, I guess, intimidated by going nowhere, or at least an area they can't identify with. Next slide. Okay, so some animation through courtesy of Chris and Bill here. So in order to find it there, A is where we are right now, the museum, and B is the Carp Library. So if you're looking to get to a Carp Library Diefenbunker site, if you're looking to get to it, the easiest way is take 417, go west, just around Stittsville where you see Highway 5, or turn right or go north. Next slide, and just keep going north. Now there are other ways to get to it as well. You can keep going on the 417 and then turn off at March Road, and then up again onto turn left onto Carp and so forth. But for those of you who've been at the Carp Fair, if you've been in the Carp Fair, just keep going a little bit further north. And on the left side of the street is a sign which says Diefenbunker or Carp Library, and you're pretty much there. It's a great location. It's nearby. Public knows it's nearby. And with some good radio promotion, we can have some terrific numbers. Okay. Next slide. Okay, another event that we were scheduled to have a solar observing event at the Winchester Library, Winchester branch of the Stormont, et cetera, County Library tomorrow. Obviously, the skies aren't going to cooperate. So we had a couple of rain dates. One of them is May 15th. Now, you're right, that's the same May 15th that lines up with the first star party. This kind of thing happens, I guess, in outreach, so I'll watch that. So for some of you who want to attend both events, thank you. That'll make for a long day. But I just wanted to remind you nonetheless. And you can see there's a couple of rain dates there. So this one here is a little bit, you can see it's in Winchester there. It's about an hour drive, okay? So if I'll be sending out an email to, I've got already, I think, 2 or 3 people who have signed up for this. If you're interested in coming along with a solar telescope or just coming to check it out, you're more than welcome to. And I will post this on the website as well, by the way. Next slide. Okay. So I know I mentioned this one. This is another event that I know I mentioned it in the last update, but it was such a monster event for us that it really deserves attention. I've already started planning this one here. This was an event that we had, National Science Technology Week. It was the first time we attended this event, and it's called Science Fun Fest. It's a very hands-on event meant for kids to introduce them to science. And sort of get them generate interest in science and so forth. But we had an indoor exhibit at the last year's Science Fun Fest and an outdoor exhibit, and it was I think it surpassed all of our expectations in terms of how many people would show up. This was just a massive event. So I'm going to be talking a lot about this one just simply because I think it's going to take a little bit more planning, and I'm quite keen on doing this one here. As are the organizers of this event. They've already contacted me, and we're already planning for this. Okay, so I'll be talking more about it. Next slide, please. Okay, two other things I wanted to mention here. First of all, something else, I don't have a slide for this, but an idea has surfaced recently about, as you know, we do a lot of school outreach, and where we go to schools and speak, do presentations, solar observing, stargazing for students. But what do we do for teachers? Is there an opportunity here where maybe we can maybe help equip some teachers to better handle some of the questions that they get from students in terms of, like, for example, at the last meeting, what is a parsec, or, what is dark energy, dark matter, all these kinds of things. Obviously, so we're thinking that we can perhaps create a half-day or a one-day workshop for teachers to equip them and enrich them in their classrooms. And there's a couple of us that are coming together and forming a working group to better plan this and organize this. And we're looking for some people, first of all, who have had experience doing this kind of thing, who have some ideas and who are interested in being part of this working group. If you're a teacher, that's great as well. We just want to try something different, because every year I want to do something different, and I sort of push the boundaries of outreach and see what we can do. So please, if anyone is interested, either send me an email, or my email's on that, or just come see me after the meeting, because I want to launch this working group fairly quickly, and I think we could use a broad range of ideas. All right, it's just the last point here is that I'm real keen on growing outreach. I'm just thrilled with the fact that there's lots and lots of new volunteers that are signing up. If you're interested in any aspect of outreach planning, or just being a participant in these events, let me know, because I get ideas that come to me, and I have my own ideas. I think some of my ideas get stale after a while, so I think it would be helpful just to sort of continue to add to the what we do in outreach. That's it. Thanks very much.
Thank you. I can't tell. Is Rob Dick in the back there somewhere? We've just got a quick slide for Rob. Oh, here he comes.
Thank you, Bill. Twice a year I invite people up to my down to my astronomical observatory, just about halfway between Ottawa and Kingston, located at Rideau Ferry and on the lake. And I like it's coming up now again, and I try to pick a time when there isn't much of a moon, and of course that's when everybody else wants to go set up their star parties. But mine covers the entire weekend, if you like, so if you're interested in being overdosing on astronomy next weekend, you can take part in the outreach program. But if you want, you can come by on the Friday night to my observatory to take a look through the 24-inch telescope. It's got Newtonian and Cassegrain. If the seeing's great, I put it on Cassegrain. If it's not so great, I just leave it on Newtonian and just look at the sky. There's a large bunch of land that you can set up your telescopes on, or even set up a tent if you want to hang around, if you don't want to drive back to the city. If anyone's interested in showing up, we just observe after dark on the Friday night, and if you want to come back, or if you're available on the Saturday night, we usually go to dinner in Perth and then come back to the observatory at sunset or so to start observing. We usually go off for dinner somewhere, try to get the first sitting for dinner so that we're all done before sunset. And if you're interested in partaking in this and you don't know where it is, because I don't display the map for it, just send me an email. And the email is up there, rdick@carleton.ca, sort of similar symbol, R for Robert, Dick for my last name, and Carleton as in the university.ca. Send me an email saying, could you send me a map, and I'll send it out to you. I like to know if you're going to be coming along, so I know how many to expect. And if you're interested in coming for dinner on the Saturday evening, again, typically starting around 5:30, then I have to place a reservation. Otherwise, you'll be sitting outside somewhere, wherever it might be. The actual timing of the dinner depends upon when the reservation can be made. It's usually at Maximilian's on the main street, or Gore Street of Perth. But if you come by early enough to the observatory, I usually put a note on the observatory, the actual address, I think it's 99 Gore Street, and the time, and then you can meet us there, or you can we can go in a convoy, go out to the restaurant at that time. If it's cloudy, instead of being a star fest, or at least a star observing thing, it's a gab fest. So if then there's a cottage down there, you sit on the veranda, listen to the pouring rain, and just talk about stuff. And that's kind of fun too. So either way, clear or cloudy, I'll be out there, and we can all have, those who want to show up, will have a reasonably good time observing or talking. And you'll see me out in the lobby if you want to talk more about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. I popped down the last time that Rob had an open house, my first time down. Very much enjoyed it. We didn't have much of a sky that night. It was a bit cloudy, but nevertheless, it was a good evening, talking, looking around the observatory, all that kind of stuff. Alrighty, a few announcements here. So just to remind, want to make sure that you're aware of the choices you've got. So besides Rob's get-together, there is also a star party being hosted by the Center at the Carp Library. That's this Saturday upcoming, Saturday, May 15th. Nextly, FLO key renewal. For those who wish to have a key for the observatory, it'll, well, this time of year it's a little less necessary. If you're going out to observe in the winter time, I've done a fair bit of that. It's really nice to be able to unlock the door and go inside where there's heaters. It's a good place to warm up. So for those of you who haven't been out, this is the Fred Lawson Observatory. The building on the left side, the clubhouse, as I say, it has heaters, very valuable. It's got a pretty good library of reference books, nice table, red lights, all that sort of thing for doing a bit of research, writing some notes, that sort of thing. On the right-hand side is the observatory itself. It's a roll-off roof, rolls onto those red rails there, and there's a nice big 16-inch Newtonian hiding underneath there. It's available for use by the members. So if you're new to this, you'll need to take a quick, I think it's an hour or so familiarization that's offered from time to time. Once you've had that course, then you can go out whenever you feel like using the observatory, roll off the roof, set up the scope, and do some real nice observing. Pretty good spot. So see Ron St. Martin about getting a key or about getting the training course if you need that. Next, Chris. Okay. Once again, we're looking for people who are interested in presenting talks. It doesn't have to be on strictly academic matters. Could be, of course, science. It could be equipment. Could be your observatory. Could be just about anything. If you're interested, you've got an idea in your head that you think the rest of the membership would be interested in, contact me via email. You can see my email address there. You can also find it on the Center's website. If you don't have any note paper to write it down right now, I invite you to get hold of me. You can run whatever idea you have by me, and we're available to give you a hand to put it together if you need some help. Chris is a wizard with PowerPoint, can help put the slides together, find images, that sort of thing. So don't be too concerned. It's a real easy thing to do. So get a hold of us and we'll help you to get going. Next, please. Okay, after the meeting, as usual, is Estelle here? Is the library open tonight?
She is here.
She is here.
She's probably in the library now.
Oh, okay. So the book library will be open. You can go in, borrow books, of course. The Ted Bean Equipment Loan Library, Al Scott was not here tonight.
He's not here.
So it won't be available for you tonight. Coffee and conversation provided by Art and Ann Fraser out in the common area out front. Membership info, if you need any info, you can talk to Art Fraser. He's the one with the sweater with the Saturn on the back, if he's wearing it tonight. Membership cards, which I'll remind you will not be put in astronauts any longer. We're kind of tapering away off of the paper versions. See Art Fraser about that as well.
A reminder, the rest of the museum is closed, so please don't wander out of the common area in the front into the museum itself. You can join the usual group over at Kelsey's afterward for snacks, drinks, or whatever else you feel like doing, and conversation, of course. Next, please, Chris. Audience tonight, 123. Not too bad for getting into the summer season. Many thanks to the various people who contributed to tonight's meeting. And to our host, the Canadian Science and Technology Museum. Got any complaints? Got any suggestions? Anything else that you'd like to say about the meetings? Please contact me at my email address, and I'll get right back to you. And with that, I think that's the last one. Is it, Chris? Oh, yes, a reminder, next meeting. So we got 2 on, a little bit of a change. The next one, Friday, June 4th. Pretty straightforward, but there's a reminder there as well that the following one, the July one, is not on the first Friday of the month, it's on the 2nd, so that we avoid having one on a long weekend. That's kind of this year's policy. Yes?
Swap table next month, semi-annual.
Ah, is that right?
Yeah, we always have it in June and December.
I have no objection to that. Who am I to argue with precedent, right? So swap table next time around. Come down a little early. We'll set up some tables up front. We'll probably start that, what, about 7 o'clock or 7:30? Okay, so I'd be a little earlier than that, and we'll get started at 7:30. So I'll try and be down here about 1/4 after to unlock the place and get ready to go.